We are going to begin with Erin Hassanzadeh. She's in St. Paul right now, where police have been trying to control riots.
The pain is very real, and it's still spilling out into the streets of St. Paul tonight. This is a makeshift medic center. This was the destruction from yesterday. This is the reality out here. If you've ever driven by Franconia Sculpture Park in Chisago County, there's a good chance you did a double take.
Simon Cowley looks a little different these days.
I'm curious. What is it? We'll explain. Norman Seawright joins us now with a little NFL drama, as I understand it, Norman. Mike Augustinak is in the Weather Center. Mike, we're spoiled because the State Fair has been so nice up to this point. I've cried at work, not here.
Good, that's good to hear.
My eyes are
You're very excited by the dry ice, right?
That's the huge issue with scooters, is you can't rely on them as a mode of transportation. Yeah. Imagine not being able to leave sort of the chaos. Firefighters are going to go in, it looks like, and take this down. We steal you just for a minute here. He tells me that he had to wait 2 hours for the fire department. Right next to what is usually the Riverside Park, you can see it's now part of the river. We've been talking to fans from all across the country today here at US Bank Stadium. So you remember when winter just never really wanted to end, it dragged on into spring. That could happen again this year.
We're going to take a sip, too, because we need to stay hydrated also, so 1 second here.
How about the strawberry mint mojito here?
Well insulated
house. To get between you two all morning? It's like brothers fighting. And one more time, patio weather alert.
Get outside.
Right now.
They look like they're supposed to be sweet.
Right. Surprise.
They're not.
Yeah, and when we do it. Thanks for staying up late with us tonight. We begin with good news for your Monday. After back-to-back nights of severe weather, a pleasant day is on tap.
It just really hurts to see this place torched like this because, you know, my whole life revolved around this barbershop.
We first met Shenard Trayvon Ellis Friday night as he watched the North Minneapolis barbershop he worked at burn. With the fire department overwhelmed and backlogged, it took hours for them to get here to the Fade factory.
We tried to use the garden hose to put it out, but it didn't have much water pressure coming from one of the neighbors' kitchen sinks. If they would have got here within the first 30 minutes, a lot of the structure could have been saved.
The flames and destruction fueled something more positive: donations. Nearly $50,000. The fundraiser started by a complete stranger.
He said he felt my story and it touched the community, so he started the GoFundMe. He made me the beneficiary.
It's been in our family for over 40 years.
Ray James owns the Fade factory and the building.
I have insurance. They're giving me a hard time right now with the rioting.
Both Ellis and Ray have lost so much, and they're still deciding how to divvy up the generosity of the community.
I felt like we should split it 50-50, so now we're at odds a little bit about that. I'm still willing to work something out.
I want us to rebuild. I want to let our legacy live on.
With millions being raised across the Twin Cities to help rebuild businesses, buildings, and livelihoods, attorney Joe Tamburino says caution is nearly as important as generosity.
I think you're going to see the number of them, and here's why. Eventually, all of this money will have to be, parceled out.
But it's that generosity that will help the buildings and people of this community rebuild.
It changed my life, and the owner actually gave me a big break. When I came here, I looked at it as, it's a small business, but we could do big things here.
Erin Hassanzadeh, WCCO-4 News.
There's really no department in the city that is tasked with picking up needles.
Across from Fire Station 5, in this parking lot off of 27th and Bloomington Avenue.
So as you see, it didn't take us very long, and we've come across one here.
It takes less than a minute to stumble across a stray needle.
Yeah, we got another one.
Walk 5 more steps.
This one, the needle is still attached.
And you'll find another. It's becoming a regular part of the job.
And here we go again.
For firefighters across Minneapolis.
Yeah, we got 2 here. We actually got about 6 of them here. I'm hearing from Station 5 that they are doing a lot of this, a whole lot of this. And, it frustrates them.
It didn't take us very long, probably less than 10 minutes, for the chief to find at least 10 needles. It's gross.
Outreach worker Autumn Dilley walks up and down Bloomington Avenue 4 days a week. Last Tuesday, she used her shift to pick needles up off the ground.
Within that 4 hours, we picked up 60 plus needles. I lost count at 60. It's not fair. It's not fair.
Half a mile away, the drug problem and subsequent needle littering is something the Little Earth community is fully aware of.
We're approaching it head on. So we have maintenance, our groundskeepers. If they're seeing needles in the area, in the vicinity, every morning they're picking up those needles.
We're showing people how to properly pick up needles that they find.
Is this discouraging to see?
It is a little discouraging.
Assistant Minneapolis Fire Chief Brian Tyner says since June, firefighters have picked up about 550 needles across the city.
Right now, we're just kind of filling in the gap until a better solution can be established.
The Minneapolis Health Department says it knows about the needles littering Minneapolis streets and that it's working on short and long-term solutions to the problem.
We can't solve this epidemic alone.
This kind of speaks to how big this problem is.
We're going to be present where we are needed to make sure that this community is safe.
When Daniel Hoffeld went to the Shakopee Hy-Vee for his lunch break Tuesday, something strange caught his eye.
And while we were sitting there, I saw something and just like, what was that?
After convincing himself he was seeing things, there it was, right in front of him.
We're like, no, wait a minute, look over at the salad bar. There's a bird.
Still in disbelief, Hoffeld started recording.
Are you recording this?
Yeah. So while I'm sitting there filming, this lady comes over to me. I'm like, oh, I'm going to get in trouble. And she goes, oh, you're just looking at the bird? I'm like, yeah.
Hoffeld tells us the worker he talked to seemed to know the bird well.
I didn't tell her like to change it out. It's just anyone knowing you might want to do something about the watermelon. And she was like, oh yeah, he loves the watermelon. He also likes the bacon bits. And over there on the Coke machine, it gets some standing water, so he likes to drink out of it and take baths. And when he's done, he flies over behind the little hickory hut, and that's where I think he lives.
We saw the bird for ourselves on Tuesday at the same spot, the salad bar. So we asked other customers if they've heard about the bird.
Have you heard about the Hy-Vee bird?
I have not.
I don't know, maybe looking for a warm place.
We reached out to managers here at the Shakopee Hy-Vee. They tell us they're aware of the situation and that they've had professionals out over the past week to try and take care of the situation.
Hy-Vee Corporate says it's going to take all food safety precautions to make sure this is properly handled.
I feel bad. I don't want anything to happen to the bird, but at the same time, like, people eat off that salad bar. It seems like Hy-Vee's his home now, so maybe it warms back up, he'll want to leave, but if he's eating that good, I don't think he will.
In Shakopee, Erin Hassanzadeh, WCCO-4 News.
What happens when our city falls down? What happens when people don't want to sell things to us? Or what happens when there is another extreme riot? How do we continue to feed ourselves?
Boarded, broken, closed for business. This is West Broadway Street.
When the devastation happened after George Floyd, it minimizes the minimal resources that this community already has.
The big-name grocery store here is closed, but there's something growing nearby, building momentum in the shadows of the unrest.
I'm learning that I don't have to go to the grocery store. You know, if the grocery store is shut down.
There's a food scarcity, there's food insecurity.
Our garden reflects all the things you can consider when you think about liberation and freedom and reclamation and redemption and rejoicing and rediscovering.
Last year, with help from a local nonprofit, Queen Fry and her partner Michael Kuykendall started developing a vacant lot on Penn Avenue into this thriving garden.
This is kale, and this is from a seed that came from Colorado.
It feels really grounding for me. I come here, I feel comfortable, I feel at peace.
You can taste the north side and the collard greens. You can taste where you're from.
Like last year, they'll offer their produce at local farmers markets this summer. Neighbors will continue to help out and grow here too. But unlike last year, some are reaching out needing more than just produce.
We had a couple people reach out to us to say, hey, can we come to are you going to be at the garden? Can we come to the garden today? Because they were exhausted with being at the rallies and the protests.
Once you start toiling with that dirt, you know, you're creating from your natural place.
I think a lot of people look to farming and gardening as becoming more grounded.
Someday, Queen and Michael hope to move to a bigger farm and employ young people to provide a positive outlet. But for now, they'll be here, replanting, replenishing, and reconnecting with an open invitation.
They see us turning the soil, they see us watering, they see us harvesting. We invite them to be a part of this story.
In North Minneapolis.
Liberation is in the dirt, in the good soil.
Erin Hassanzadeh.
This is our way of providing a healing space.
WCCO-4 News.